Hey everybody, Big Red Live here with a special podcast tonight, talking about some playoff matchups tonight. I'm your host Josh. Joined with me here is our new contributor here for the Big Red Sports Network, our data analysis guy, Ryan Jenkins. Ryan, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good. I'm really excited to be doing this because I've been doing this for a while, personally, myself, just watching the numbers change every Friday night. And I'm glad we get to share it on the final week live.
Absolutely. So one thing we talked about before we went live is that there are still results being put in and being brought to us as the evening's going on, and there's still some tweaks that will be made to these brackets as the night goes on because there are still going to be results put in. I think you've mentioned something about sync, so I'm gonna let you take it away and discuss that and how that works.
Basically, this spreadsheet takes the numbers from NCHSAA's RPI table, and their big syncs happen roughly about every 15 till the hour. So about 11:45, that's the big sync. There's always little syncs that come in between, and we can watch the numbers change as they go. And we can also look at the matchups this week, the scores as they come in, and we're going to watch these and see where the brackets end up.
Now, if we look at this, I mean, there's been a lot of questions asked about these brackets, particularly pertaining to the RPI stuff. Ryan, would you like to take a moment to discuss like the RPI system and how the seating is going on in these brackets? Because the number one thing we've heard this year is why are the brackets specifically formatted in a way where you see a team that has less wins over a team that has like 8 or 9 wins?
Yeah. So this year, the new playoff format is and seeding is everything is based off of RPI. So RPI, what RPI is your win percentage, your opponent's win percentage, and your opponent's win percentage, and each of those are weighted slightly differently. I think win percentage is 65% of that, 60%. Opponent's win percentage is like 35% or 30%, 25%, and then OOWP is the rest. So, yeah, and so basically that's how you end up with in 6A or in 5A. Like last week, we had Hickory, or East Lincoln was above Hickory, even though Hickory beat East Lincoln. So that's how you end up with things like that. I don't necessarily love it, but we're just gonna have to see how it pans out and see what changes they make to it in the future. Maybe they can change the weighting of
Absolutely.
it, or maybe even allow conference champions to play a role in that, or head to head. I'm hoping something.
So, if for the viewers out there that are tuning in to the live stream, if you have any questions regarding the playoff brackets, how everything has been structured for the playoff brackets and stuff like that, feel free to ask questions in the comments. And I mean, it could definitely turn into some definite talking points because everything about this new playoff format is different this year, at least for all of us. I know for a fact that you go from the format where conference champions were guaranteed like a top seed in the playoffs to now just be solely ranked on RPI. It is a big adjustment compared to last year.
Yep, for sure. And another thing that comes into play is the new East-West line. So it can change from week to week, and it can knock a team who has a first-round bye out of it because a team jumped from the East to the West. So that's another key factor you have to look out for.
Absolutely. That's also another big question I've heard specifically on our Instagram page is like, someone mentioned that East Randolph and one of the projections was in the East, and then the next one they were in the West. How exactly does the East-West line shift based on these playoff pictures?
So in that example, so that week, Drone, I think it was, dropped out of the playoffs, which is a West team, and an East team entered. So there's 48 total teams. A West team left and an East team entered. So there's too many East teams. So somebody has to shift to the West. And that's what happened. And it just happened to be Eastern Randolph because they were the closest one to the center line. So like this right here, what is this, 5A? So if we look at the East-West line here, right now the closest one to this center line is Rockingham County, and they're just barely on the West, and Montgomery just barely on the East. I mean, we're talking thousandths of a longitude difference there. just like thousandths. So and it can just push one team over if one team exits and one team enters really easily.
Absolutely. We have received a comment, and I'm assuming this is coming from Ralph. It says, how will TC Robertson beating AC Reynolds tonight change the 6A brackets?
Well, let's have a look at that. I think we were looking at this one right before the stream started too.
Absolutely.
We're just looking at that one. So TC Robertson's results are in. Let's go to the region rankings. So as of right now, TC Robinson's now the 7 seed in the West, and AC Reynolds is now the 9th. We can look at their playoff matchups here. This is as of right now. There's still some results that need to come in. So as of right now, AC Reynolds will be playing Ben L. Smith as the 9 seed, and TC Robinson will have a first round bye and play the winner of Glenn and Dudley.
Wow,
so that's a big difference right there. Playing AC Reynolds will have to play Charlotte Catholic if they win.
Yes, that would be a very interesting ball game there. Still a lot of results still needing to come in from throughout the area in order to really specifically shape up these games. I know for a fact we took a look at the 6A, and it looks like based off just the results right here, is South Caldwell still in this playoff picture right now?
Yep, I think they're – well, no, they were. They were right before we started, weren't they? They were the 24th seed, wasn't they?
Yeah, so that's an interesting tidbit there, given that, South Caldwell and Alexander Central played earlier tonight. I did put this on my games to watch this week with the major playoff implications it could have on it.
It does show that they've went up. They've went up to the 22nd seed now. So they didn't fall. That's also the thing with RPI. You can gain RPI by losing a game, especially if you have a bad record and play a good team. Your RPI can go up, and that looks like what happened here. So South Caldwell right now is playing Kings Mountain. That's who they're facing. I think it was the same as before, but Kings Mountain also has dropped a little.
Yeah, and it looks like those results from that Alexander and South Caldwell game have not come in yet. So we'll wait and see when that stuff gets put in, how it will change the RPI and stuff.
Yeah, that is true. I was looking at 1A earlier, and I forget what team it is. When this loads, I'll tell you. There was a team that jumped a good amount of RPI just from losing a game. There's quite a few on here, like North Edgecombe.
It looks like it might have been North Stokes.
Yeah, North Stokes went up quite a bit too. Yeah, I don't know the results this week though. They might have played Thursday.
Yeah. So based on the brackets that we've seen so far, you did mention when you posted the brackets earlier today that there have been opt-outs that were announced earlier today. Have there been any other announcements made, or who's opted out right now? And do you believe that there are more to come?
Yeah, see, that's one thing I've been debating about is will this new playoff format, will there be more teams drop out or less? Because on one hand, the competition is supposed to be closer and tighter, but on the other hand, it's really not whenever you look at the matchups. So I really think there's going to be more teams drop out. So far, it's only been Jones, Weldon, and Triangle Math and Science, which Weldon maybe is a little bit of a surprise on that one, but The other two, not so much.
I did
But,
see your bracket there for the 1A, and I saw an 0-10 team playing a 1-9 team to open up the postseason for that West bracket.
Yeah,
Winner playing Robbinsville the very next week.
yeah. See, Bonnie, I think they're another one that could drop out. That would likely drop out, but then again, this is kind of what I'm saying. They could win this playoff game. They could win, so they might not want to opt out because they're playing 1-9 Andrews. Another one that's interesting is CPLA right now is the 7 seed. So they're likely going to have a home playoff game if they don't opt out, if they choose to play. And the one team CPLA did beat this year?
Who was that?
Chatham Central.
Wow, that'll be definitely an interesting matchup to look at for next week for the 1A bracket. You see Robbinsville in the West as the number 1 seed. It's going to be, you would obviously think with this bracket and the way that the wins and losses are looking, you'd think that it would have to be between Robbinsville and South Davidson for that 1A West.
Yeah. Yeah. It's probably just Robbinsville in the West, to be honest. South Davidson did lose today too. Yeah, Robbinsville is probably going to come out of the West, and then maybe Northside Pinetown or Kip Pride out of the East. I think I like Pinetown more. Northside Pinetown.
Yeah,
it's hard to say. I don't know out of the East, but yeah, the 1A is a bit of a mess right now. There's definitely got to be some changes, merging 1A and 2A or something, or maybe even you was suggesting something to me yesterday when you mix in charter schools. And
yeah, my suggestion was to make the charter schools the patriarchal schools, and I think I said that there were like 70 of them. You could probably make that just the 1A bracket itself.
Yeah, and that would separate some things a little better, and then maybe you could merge 1A and 2A somehow. I think that would be something they should look into. Maybe, I haven't looked in too deep on that, but something's definitely got to be done when it comes to 1A.
So we got a comment here from one of our followers here, Thomas Bartlett. Thank you for tuning in, by the way. What are some factors that contribute to teams dropping out of the playoffs?
So in 3A, basically, well, it's 2A through 7A. There's 48 teams make the playoffs in all of them. And most of them have 56. They all have 56 to 58 teams in each of those classes, except for 2A. 2A is a little bit weird. They're a bit of an oddball, but so basically there's only 7 to 9 teams in each conference that don't make the playoff, or each classification that don't make the playoffs. So in order for your RPI to drop, you basically have to play a team with a bad record and lose to them. And if you want to make the playoffs, you just basically want to schedule good opponents. That's the biggest thing is scheduling good opponents, because you can, like I said before, you can gain RPI by losing to an opponent that just has a good record.
Yeah. And then somebody also mentioned, Thomas also said he meant opting out. And a lot of factors can contribute to opting out, whether it be like a long travel. And sometimes it may come down to serious cases where if your team, it's a low seed, for example, like a 1-9 team, you're banged up with injuries. Some people would think it'd be a logical decision for you to punt on the season and get everybody healthy and back next season and build upon for next season.
Yeah, like the teams that have dropped out already. I think Triangle Math and Science had already pretty much forfeited their season. They played 6 games, and then I think players weren't showing up. So,
yeah, I think you mentioned that Triangle Science and Math was in the East playoff picture for the 1A football playoff bracket, and they'd only played 5 games this season.
Yep, and they still have to opt out for the playoffs. So they could have easily still made the playoffs and had a playoff game, but they were having a hard time over there. So I don't blame them for dropping out. Jones, I'm not real sure, and Weldon either. I'm not sure if Weldon usually opts out, but that one seemed kind of surprising. I think they had won one game, most and then 1A. Like I said, it's a toss up really in there. You might can win a playoff game if that's something that your team wants to do.
Absolutely. I'm going to take a moment real quick to go over some scores from tonight for the Big Red scoreboard. My bad. So obviously we had a lot of high stakes games going on tonight, and a lot of, I would probably say, there's been a few shocking results tonight.
Yeah,
we're going to go ahead and get started with our scoreboard. Here we go. West Iredell over Bunker Hill 70-24. Ashbrook over Huss 16-0. South Point over Ambassador Christian 48-18. Bonnie Cone falls to Thomas Jefferson 48-12. Asheville over Inca 20-17. TC Roberson over AC Reynolds 21-14. Irwin over North Buncombe 42-6. Freedom over McDowell 41-0. Alexander Central over South Caldwell 42-26. Watauga over St. Stephen's 28-18. Hickory wins the conference championship tonight with a gritty win at home versus Bandy's 47-45 in overtime. Newton Conover defending home turf against a tough maiden team in 2 overtimes, 19-13. Fred T. Ford with a victory over North Lincoln 27-7. And I believe, based on the look that we had earlier today, that with Ford's win over North Lincoln, it will boost the Tigers to a home playoff game in the first round, barring any other changes. But from what we saw, it looked like Ford was slated at the 14 seed.
Yeah, and I didn't see that changing.
East Burke over Drawn 62-8. High Brighton over West Caldwell 60-12. RS Central falls to East Rutherford 38-14. Chase over Patton 56-0. Mitchell over Avery County 63-14. Mountain Heritage over Owen 42-6. Hendersonville over Polk County 23-21. Lincolnton over West Lincoln 42-6. Lincolnton wins their conference with the championship with that victory there. Cherville over Bessemer City 50-27. That is in the fourth quarter. I'm assuming that has to be final at some point, given that it's getting very late. Shelby over Burns 36-35. Kramer over East Gaston 30-7. Crest with a dominating performance over Kings Mountain tonight, 70-0. Forest View over North Gaston, 40-0. Starmount over Ashe County, 56-0. West Wilkes over North Wilkes, 24-20. Allegheny over Elkin, 68-0. And final in overtime, Brevard over Pisgah, 36-30.
Overtime, huh?
Yes.
Wow. That was another close one right there. I didn't really expect that one to be all that close either, which I'm not shocked, but
here's a point that was given to us. I'm assuming this is coming from Ralph, one of our contributors, talking about the 1A classification, saying smaller classes, especially 1A, can lose money by playing in a playoff game, especially if the host the host. Not a lot of fans get fired up about watching an 0-10 team play an 0-9 team.
Yep, that's a good point. It's a really good point. But I mean, one of the arguments I keep seeing is for the reason for so many playoff teams is because of money. But that's kind of a counter argument to it right there. So that's a good point.
All right, so it looks like quite a bit of the results have been put in so far. Let's take a moment to go through the different classifications and take a look at the playoff brackets.
Okay, yeah, it's one thing that just surprised me here is Brevard lost RPI tonight by winning. I don't know how either, because Pisgah's good. I don't understand that.
I don't think it's going to hurt Brevard much, given that they've got that 10-0 record and looks like they got the 1 seed locked up.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they got a huge lead. That's a very big lead, a .03 lead. That's really big. That's not likely to change. Okay, so go over 2A. We haven't looked at them much. 2A has been one of those funky ones. They're one of the classes that that don't have 48 teams. We started with 46, I think 40 or 45. We started with 45, and Triangle Math and Science dropped out, making it an even 44, which is easier on me because when there's an odd amount of teams, the team that ends up closest to that line has to do a coin flip to decide which region they're in. So, or the head coach does. I assume probably in the morning. But thankfully, and hopefully this doesn't get back odd because it makes things a lot easier on the bracket whenever I'm not guessing on which side they're going on.
Yeah.
But we can take a look at 2A real quick, just overview it. Swain County, I think, has moved down a good bit because I think a lot of teams have jumped on. I think Swain County started when we started the day. I think they were the 6th seed, so they've only dropped one spot now. Earlier when we was looking at it, they had dropped a little farther.
Yeah, there's a possibility they could regain some ground there because it looks like they do have a game missing.
Yeah, the result's still not in. So, yeah, there's still a good many games missing in here. Murphy's, Corvian, and McGinnis. Well, McGinnis is in. They had a big win tonight. Who'd they play again? Who was it?
Was it South Davidson?
Yeah, it was South Davidson, undefeated in 1A. South Davidson, yeah. So that helped them a lot. Let me look at the bracket real quick. It's not changed much. There's not been a ton of movement on this one. It's just kind of a unique bracket because there's not enough teams in it. So you ended up with 9 and 10 seeds also getting buys in 2A. If there's any teams or classifications you guys are more interested in, just let us know, and I'll try to focus on those a little bit more. But for now, we'll just go over each bracket and how they look right now. Swain County's still missing, so they'll likely go up. They'll likely still have a first-round bye. Like I said, the top 10 teams in each side on this one get a first-round bye. So I don't really see any huge surprises or any notable matchups here. I mean, Highland Tech making the playoffs and is something. There's a few teams that I'd be surprised.
Yeah, got Highland Tech and Avery County slated to be in there too.
Yep. I was thinking there's someone on the East that kind of surprised me. I'm trying to see. No, maybe not. Maybe not. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with all these 2A teams. There's just no matchups that speak out to me. Like Star Mount and Tarboro are probably going to run things. Swain County's good. They beat Mount Heritage, which is really interesting.
Yeah, they played Murphy tonight. I'm unsure about how that result went.
Oh, yeah, that's a good game. Yeah, that one. See, that's a good matchup. Swain County and Murphy. That would be really interesting.
Someone asked about the 4A bracket. Want to take a look at the 4A bracket?
Let's take a look.
And then after that, somebody asked about Montgomery Central under 5A.
Okay. We can look. So right now, there are a lot of the 4A results are in. I'm not actually seeing. Eastern Wayne maybe is missing.
No, that looks like Eastern Wayne is out.
Yeah,
it looks like most of them, if not all.
But if the RPI is close, you have to take it with a grain of salt because as the other games come in, OWP opponents really start calculating here.
Yeah.
So, but with the finals being in for a lot of the 4A, these numbers probably won't change a lot. So let's look at the region rankings and seedings and see.
For the people that are just now tuning in, we will try to make sure to get everybody's comment. Just please be patient with us. We are getting quite a few comments about looking at the brackets. We promise we'll get to you. You just got to be patient with us.
Yeah, and the big like we said, the big result sync will be at around 11:45. So that we'll pretty much know around 11:45 and for sure. There's going to be some changes here and there, but until then, these are all kind of a little bit rough. Although 4A is looking pretty complete right now.
Yeah, for those watching, we are going by results that are currently posted on Max Preps and through the NCHSAA. They update it every so often. So right now, what you're seeing is an unofficial brackets for each individual classification, but most of the brackets are going to look pretty similar to what we see already.
Yeah, especially for A here. Any surprises here? I'm trying to think where some teams were. Maybe they dropped.
Wow, High Brighton was originally slated as that second team. They have fallen back down to the 3 seed there in 4A West.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Central Davidson's a team I haven't even looked into much this year. I know High Brighton really well because they're in the same conference as East Rutherford. I follow most of their games, but
and then you got Burns sitting there at the 9 seed.
I tell you, Newton Conover, man, like, where did this come from? They're just a really good team this year. Really surprising me.
Somebody asked about 5A, wanting to know about Montgomery Central.
All right, we'll take a look at that one. Let me check out the 4A bracket real quick right before we jump to that one. I just want to look at this real quick.
Stuart Kramer moving up into that
8 seed.
That 8 seed right there. That's very interesting.
First
Kramer had a big upset last week against Lincolnton that probably helped them get boosted into this position too.
Yep. I think Burns and Kramer would be an awesome game. Have they played each other this season? I don't think they have they?
They are in the same conference.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't have no idea on the results of that game, but I assume it will be a really good game.
I would think so. I really would. I would think that would be a good game, especially the way Burns played tonight.
It'll be interesting about the RS Central results, whether or not they'll get a home game or not. So we'll just wait on those results right there. But I'm not sure what the RPI is looking like between RS Central and Wilkes Central.
So RS is one of the teams that aren't in. So I don't think they're going to have a home playoff game. I think that loss tonight kind of sealed their fate. But I could be wrong. But I don't think so. I think, like we was looking at earlier, it'll likely be Ford and RS, or maybe Bandy's.
And right there, ladies and gentlemen, you saw right there in the first round bracket there at the very bottom, Ford slated at the 15 seed will be hosting a home playoff game. I just want to give a shout out to Coach Ramzor over there at Fred T. Ford for doing an amazing job with the Tigers. Last year, up until the very end of the season, they held the state's longest losing streak. They won the last game of last season. And it's just crazy how big of a turnaround that program's had from last year to this year, going from being a 1-win team last year to now hosting a home playoff game.
Yep. That's awesome.
So a tidbit on that Burns and Kramer game, Ralph said that Burns beat Kramer earlier this year 35-21.
Oh, yeah. So Kramer looking for some revenge if they end up playing each other in the second round. That would be a very interesting rematch, especially with Kramer being home and well-rested. That would be interesting.
All right, take a look at 5A. We're going to take a look at Montgomery Central.
All right. Montgomery Central
sitting right there at the 19 seed.
So it looks like a lot of these results are in too. I'm starting to notice there's more and more.
Yeah, they're coming. It looks like they're coming in by the minute. So sooner or later, these brackets are going to be pretty much pretty solid.
Yep. It's looking like most of the results are in. They might be almost sealed in their spot because there's a pretty big gap between the team above them and the team below them.
Yes.
So I think they're pretty much sealed into that 19 seed in the West there. We'll see what their matchup looks like. Right now, they're slated to play Carson. And the winner of that game will play number 3, Hickory. Whew. There's been a lot of movement in 5A. And I knew it coming into the night. Everybody was worried about East Lincoln being the number 1 seed, but they also had a week ahead of everybody. I guess their bye week was this week, I guess.
Yes.
So I knew it was going to correct itself eventually. And I figured East Lincoln would end up around the 5 seed. J.M. Robinson would end up first. South Point 2. Yep. South Point 2. Hickory 3. Crest 4. This right here is going to probably stay like it is. I don't think any of the first round bye teams are going to change. I think this is pretty much going to stay the same on the west side. West side, I don't see changing much at all from here on out.
That's interesting. I would assume at this bracket, like you said, it's probably close to being finalized. Maybe there's a couple of spots that with a little bit of uncertainty, given that there's a couple games that haven't been entered. But I think this might be what it may end up looking like, given with how many games are missing. Because it looks like only 2 teams are missing results in this bracket.
Right. Yeah, there's not many. And this is, I'm glad RPI kind of redeemed itself here in the 5A, because this is how I think the seeding should be 1 through 8. I think this is perfect 1 through 8. I think J.M. Robinson is probably the best team. South Point, if Hickory or East Lincoln played South Point's schedule, South Point's had a brutal schedule, and they deserve to be the number 2 seed. I believe. And I think I like this order. Maybe Crest a little higher, maybe, but I think I like this one as long as East Lincoln didn't end up number 1 after Hickory beat them, or Hickory should never been below East Lincoln. But I think the RPI worked out here in 5A. I'm kind of glad it redeemed itself.
Somebody is asking about taking a look at the 6A bracket for Ashboro.
6A. Okay. Let's see. Jacksonville still waiting on their result. Middle Creek still waiting on them. But for the most part, it seems like most of them are in as well. Maybe a few here and there still not in, but there's Jacksonville and Middle Creek are probably 2 big ones, but I'm sure Jacksonville won, and I think Middle Creek had a winnable game this week. Let's find out. Well, I can't find their game. Did they play tonight?
What was their record? I believe that they had 1 game that they did not play.
It got canceled due to weather before the halftime. That's right. So yeah, they're in. They are in. Jacksonville might have had the same thing happen. So right now, as of right now, Northern Nash is above Middle Creek. My projections, that's what I was seeing, but I didn't know how the OOP or win percentage, opponents win percentage would work out. It is really tight, and it still could change. But as of right now, it looks like Northern Nash is going to stay ahead of Middle Creek. So we wanted to look at Ashbrook too, right? Ashbrook here, they have a huge lead on Freedom here. So I don't see them dropping. And there's a pretty big gap between them and Northern Guilford here. They're probably locked into their spot as well. So we will look at see what the bracket looks like. Right now, Ashbrook is slated to play the winner of Asheville and Alexander Central.
Freedom getting the winner of Central Cabarrus and Southeast Guilford. That could be an interesting second-round matchup there.
That you might be going to watch that game after all, huh?
I may be. See here, TC Roberson playing the winner of Dudley and Glenn. Dudley and TC Roberson could be a good game. But a Greensboro team going all the way to TC Roberson, though.
That is wild.
That is a long road trip.
Let's look at the East-West line and see where these teams fall. Dudley is the second most Western East team, with Southeast Guilford being right on the line, and Eastern Guilford. It's all the Guilfords. All the Guilfords. There's so many Guilfords. They have every cardinal direction plus northeast, southeast. There's so many Guilfords.
So you want to take a moment to explain to our viewers how the East-West line works?
So basically, this year, the East-West line isn't static. There's not just in years past they just drew a line straight down the state, and that was your region. You knew which region you were going to be in before the playoffs started. This year, that's not the case. It takes the top 48 teams in a class, or 2A through 7A, and then divides them into 24 based on their longitude. So if like these are your East teams in red, and these are your West teams in blue, and this is sorted by longitude, and these are the top 48 teams just sorted by longitude. So you got the top 24 is East, and the bottom 24 is West. Hopefully I explained that good enough.
Now we are getting a request to take a look at the 3A bracket.
3A bracket. See, I'm interested in that one too. I want to see East Rutherford and Hendersonville's results come in so we can tell which one of them is going to have the first round bye. Hendersonville's results are in. East Rutherford's is not. So we'll probably have to wait until 11:45 for that one.
It's kind of interesting, though. You see them kind of shift downward. I'm unsure if East Rutherford may get that first round bye, given how many teams. Oh, okay, never mind. I was looking at the whole thing right there, and I was like, they have quite a few to jump there to get that 8 seed, but it was just all the teams in general.
Yeah, that was the RPI. Yeah,
that was my fault.
But it's still going to be really close. I mean, I could run a simulation real quick and see, but I'll hold off on that. But East Rutherford with a win tonight may jump into that first round bye. There was some other games I was watching to see if maybe it would be possible Eastern Randolph ends up back in the East. That was going to require Trinity beating Wheatmore, and I'm pretty sure Wheatmore won that game tonight. But there were a few other things that could have happened that made Eastern Randolph end up back in the East, which would have knocked everybody up a spot in the East that would have just below the third seed, basically. Everybody else would have shifted up. So let's take a look at the bracket here. So currently, Hendersonville has the first round bye, but East Rutherford's results aren't in. So we'll see if these two swap.
Which, if that was the case, it looks like either way, it may be East Rutherford and Hendersonville playing each other in the second round.
Yeah, that should be a really good game. Right now, I would favor Hendersonville. I might favor the home team. That's why this 8-9 spot.
It's a crucial spot.
It's so important here because home team here will probably have a huge advantage. Mount Heritage is the number 1 seed still. It looks like they'll be playing North Wilkes or West Lincoln. Walkertown, winner of Madison and West Davidson. North Stanley. What's your thoughts on them? Because I've seen some interesting stats. Towards the beginning of the year, I heard somebody say all the deep playoff teams always have a great defense. Throughout the year, historically, every deep playoff team will only allow around 100 points throughout the season, like maybe going up to 120. And North Stanley is one of those teams that their points allowed is very low. But with this new playoff or conference alignments, North Stanley's schedule's a little weak. They haven't played the most, are the best teams. But
yeah, that's kind of what I'm
speaking to it, and it's looking like they might make a deep playoff run based on history and the stats.
I mean, I'm taking a look at their max preps right now, and I am seeing quite a few teams on here that I'm not familiar with. But I don't know. I'll have to do a little bit more research on the Stanley County teams. I did notice one game that stood out to me was seeing that Montgomery Central game, which they won 17-14. That is something that did stand out to me.
All right, yeah. So I don't really know you don't really know what you're going to get out of North Stanley, but the stats and history say they're going to make a deep run. But
Now, I will say,
test, I'm not sure.
I will say this: whoever wins that Polk County East Surrey game, if that holds, that Polk County and East Surrey game is going to be a tough test for North Stanley because both of those teams are pretty solid. Polk County gave Hendersonville a good run for their money tonight in the game tonight. Yeah,
did they? Oh man, I like to see that. I kind of root for Polk a little bit. I have a lot of friends and distant relatives that went to Polk, so I kind of have a little spot for them. No, not a lot of hate. I like to see Polk play well.
Yeah, Hendersonville narrowly defeated Polk County tonight, 23-21.
Wow, that's
so that could potentially be a trap game for North Stanley.
Yeah, there's so many games tonight that were just really close and unexpected. There was a lot, and I didn't see there being a lot of shakeups tonight, but there were a lot of close calls, a lot of scary close calls, I guess you could say, it being Halloween tonight. But anyway, right now, Lincoln in that 7th spot. Man, what a rough time to have the 7 seed and then probably have to play Shelby the next round.
That is going to be a really good second round matchup.
Yeah,
if it plays out anything like the first matchup between those two teams, that is going to be one heck of a game to go watch.
Yeah, that's incredible. Look at this. I'm not going to try to pronounce their name. We was talking about this beforehand. We hope we didn't have to talk about them. I want to talk about them because they were at the number 9 seed when the day started.
They moved up big time.
And they jumped Northeastern by beating Northeastern today. That was another one that was a little bit surprising. Northeastern made it really far in the playoffs last year. I think they were 2A last year, and they made it really far. So I thought Northeastern would probably make another deep run, but who knows? A lot of the Eastern teams I'm just not real familiar with. I know James Kennan made it pretty far last year. Whiteville made it pretty far into a. Martin County made it fairly far. I'm not real familiar with Lewisburg. I'm not sure if they're usually a really good powerhouse football team. I'm just not familiar with them. I think Midway did pretty decent last year too. I know Kinston did decent last year. Yeah, the rest of them I'm not real sure. Wallace Rose Hill lost today. Do you remember who that was to James Kennan, wasn't it?
I am unsure.
Yeah, I think James Kennan beat Wallace Rose Hill today. That knocked Rose Hill down a good bit. Sorry we haven't been focusing on the East much. I'm not real familiar with the teams. I don't follow them as much, but
well, it's fine because I'm a little bit unfamiliar with them too. So I'm just kind of getting used to seeing some of the names in the western part of some of these brackets because I see a lot of these teams and I have some familiarity. Either I've heard of these teams through the past playoff brackets or I've seen those teams at some point play a playoff game.
Yeah, it's like this year, Reidsville being in the East. How about that?
And that that is going to be interesting because you also got traditional powerhouse East Duplin in there, and West Craven's also a team that you probably shouldn't overlook as well. Yeah. That's a very solid top 3 there for the East. And then looking at the West, I mean the West is pretty loaded in itself too. You got Bandy sitting there at an 11 seed at 5-5, but don't overlook Bandy's at all, given that they gave Hickory all they could handle tonight.
Right. Yeah. A lot of teams with a lot to prove tonight, and a lot of teams showed who they are tonight. So it's going to make for some interesting playoff matchups. Although I think in 4A, it's just going to end up being Brevard and Reidsville. That's my projection. It's hard for me to see any of them beat them. Reidsville stumbled out of the gate this year, but I think they got a new player or something after week 2 or so. I think it was their quarterback. I think they got their quarterback back or something like that, and they haven't missed a beat since then. They've been a really good team. I think Reidsville's back, and I think Brevard just probably going to run things in the West. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about Central Davidson. They're probably pretty good. I'm not as big on High Brighton as probably some people are. Newton Conover, now that's a team that could surprise people because they've already been surprising me. They're on a really, really good run, and they could do something like East Rutherford did last year in 2A and make a really deep, unexpected run. Because a lot of people didn't see that coming.
Well, I'll say this about High Brighton. They're going to be a tough game in the postseason, regardless of what round it is. If you have to travel to High Brighton to play a postseason game, that's a tough place to play a playoff game.
Well, I've never visited High Brighton, so I will have to take your word for it. All right. Well, it's about 11:45, so we should be getting the sync in any second now.
And this probably should finalize most of the brackets.
Yeah, it should. Let me just take a look at the table over here on NCHSAA. It'll tell us when the syncs happen. Last one was at 10:48, so the new one should be any minute now. So make sure you stick around. These final results will be almost final, not completely, and you shouldn't take it, 100%. But
yeah, we're definitely going to just go over these last bit of brackets, and we're going to sign off, and then we'll have the official brackets released. I'll let Ryan announce when he'll release those because he's the man in charge of that.
Yeah. When you say official brackets, are we talking from the NCHSAA?
Or just, the official projections that we have.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The NCHSAA probably won't release their brackets till either late tomorrow evening or Sunday.
Yeah, I think they said they were going to try to release them Sunday. They're going to work throughout all day Saturday and try to make sure everything's done correctly. It's like some people said, though. I mean, we can have it figured out before them, but they also have to do the coin flips for odd classification teams. They have to make sure every T is crossed and I is dotted, So hopefully we should have some official results for you guys by Sunday, but hopefully as we wait for this big final sync to come in. Hopefully it should be in any minute now. So what do you think was the biggest surprise for you tonight? Which game?
The biggest surprise. I mean, there was a lot of really good games tonight. But my biggest surprise would definitely be Newton Conover beating Maiden. That was a big time win for that program that's been kind of just trying to get over the hump the past few years. And, Matt Wilson has really done an incredible job with that program and turning it around. I think last year they finished like 3 or 4 wins. And now, you go to an 8-win team, you're going to be getting a first-round bye and then hosting a home playoff game. I mean, that is next-level coaching, next-level commitment to the program. And it seems like he's got his kids buying in and playing some really good football. And Newton Conover could potentially be a tough out, like a tough win in the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think they're my most surprising team of the year for sure. They definitely have surprised me, and I didn't expect this out of them. And and it's not like they got put in an easy spot either. It's a tough conference, and they went from 2A to 4A. And it's not like they just got handed an easy conference or a lower classification. They earned it too. So I've been really impressed with Newton Conover.
All right, have we got the latest sync?
We are waiting. Not yet, unfortunately. What time is it? 11:51. Usually takes a few minutes for all the data to load, so give it another few minutes. It should be in any second now. Is there anyone else we should look at while we wait?
Let's take a look at the 7A brackets.
Okay.
Want to take a look at McDowell?
I don't even think we've looked at 7A or 8A.
No, we need to take a look at that.
Because 8A is pretty interesting too.
And I'll tell you what, 7A is an absolute slugfest.
Yeah.
With
you're not
some
kidding.
unbelievable teams in it. Cardinal Gibbons, really good program. Grimsley, really good program. Weddington, really good program. Independence, really good program. Mooresville, really good program. I mean, you just keep going down the line. You just keep seeing names that you were familiar with hearing with deep postseason runs.
Yep. It is a slugfest, like you said. So let's look at well, first of all, I haven't even talked about this, but you can see where it's changed from earlier today. From the brackets I released earlier today, this is the changes that's already happened. Not a whole lot of movement, nothing real crazy. Looks like maybe Richmond Senior might have moved up a spot, or Clayton, or Reagan. I mean, so maybe one of those teams moved up. I don't know if it's too different. I'll try zooming out a little bit here. Maybe that'll help a little bit. So this is the bracket for 7A. Grimsley probably going to end up playing West Cabarrus or RJ Reynolds.
I'm looking at the West right now, and it looks like all the results are in for the West. So this looks like what the playoff picture for this specific bracket would look like in this particular situation. And seeing McDowell on the road playing at Page. It doesn't look like Page's game is in. That's the only one that hasn't been put in. But that's going to be close to accurate.
Yep. Of course, opponents still got to play into it. And, man, that gets deep. It ends up with teams not even in the same state. Like where you end up waiting on teams from other states to get their scores in. It goes down a pretty insane rabbit hole. The opponents. It's very hard to calculate manually. I have a formula for it in case I needed it, but it's pretty rough, and it doesn't even grab everybody. It's pretty hard. Well, let's see if the sync has happened yet. Still waiting, it looks like. Probably big group of scores probably coming in now. All the rest of the final scores that we're missing. Let's look at 8A real quick. So I haven't looked at them. I'm not real familiar with the teams in it, but it's been kind of fun to watch this bracket. I'm just glad and thankful that there's at least 24 teams, and it's not an odd bracket like 1A. So Huff has only moved up.
Wow, 4 10-0 teams in the 8A classification.
Wow, yeah. Yep. West Charlotte, kind of surprised to see them at 8-2.
West Charlotte has played a brutal schedule. They opened up the season playing against, I think it was Grimsley that they opened up their season again. They played them in the Keep Pounding Classic, and I think Grimsley won that game, but it was a really good game.
Yeah, I'd like to see some of the 7As play 8As and just see how that would turn out, because 7A is, like you said, it's a slugfest. I'd be really interested in that. More 7A versus 8A. Let's see the playoff bracket. This is one of the smaller ones, so it'll all fit on screen. I don't know if there's
for that 8A bracket. It looks like most of the results are in. I believe all of them are in, actually. So
it looks like it. It does look like it. I don't see much of this changing either. If we look at the rankings, any teams really close? That one, Myers Park is kind of close. No one's close to the 1, 2, or 3. These two are pretty close. Jordan and Millbrook. I don't see there being enough games coming in to shift these, especially not this one. This one could be close. Let's see. Is there anyone else that might could shift? Maybe Mallory Creek and Myers Park. They're pretty close. But yeah, I think for the most part these are almost sealed too. I think these are pretty much locked. I feel like it's kind of like election night. We're calling it for the Class 8, Class 8A.
Yes.
So we're calling it for the Class 8A. I think the results are pretty much final there. Still no big sync yet. We're still waiting, but it's probably a good sign that it's taken longer because that probably means there's more scores coming in, more data. Let's see if anyone might flop around in 3A, if anyone's going to shift. Tell you, Hendersonville and Lincolnton are neck and neck. I tell you, when that East game gets in, East could end up being at the 7 seed if they gained much, but it's really hard to say. It really is, because Hendersonville and Lincolnton are neck and neck. Those two could certainly shift by the end of the night with all the results coming in. East, Rutherford, Hendersonville, and Lincolnton could be in any order. And then depending on how that Wheatmore and Trinity game went, which I think we think Wheatmore won that game, but Eastern Randolph, imagine they end up back in the East, and East Rutherford jumps Hendersonville and Lincolnton, ends up with the 6 seed. Go from the 9 seed to the 6 seed. But that's wishful thinking. It'll likely stay the way it is. I don't know that East can make up that much ground with just one more win. While we have a little time, I could try see if I can run a simulation here. Find a place to put it. Let's see roughly what East RPI might look like if we change their record. Well, I'll zoom in here. And where'd you go? There we go. Oh, well, the record's already 9-1 on here. So let's see if this will load. Sometimes it doesn't load the first time. There's a lot going into this. So right now, my projections have it East going to 0.599, which I believe would put them above Lincolnton and Hendersonville. Yeah, it would.
Wow.
It would. But we won't know for sure until this sync happens, until all these results are in. Hopefully East scores does come in. Hopefully Coach Russ or whoever puts the scores in over there aren't lollygagging too much.
Yeah, maybe I might need to send Coach Russ a text, tell him to get them results in so he can he can get these brackets finalized.
Wow.
I'm joking, Coach Russ, if you're watching this. I'm just giving you a hard time.
So we're still waiting. I'm surprised. Usually they're in by now. I have seen it take 15 minutes late. And usually it'll come in like 15 minutes late and it'll say, well, it synced 15 minutes ago. No, it didn't. I've been waiting this whole time. It's been very climactic waiting on this. This would be really interesting to know how this 3A bracket ends up. Who else would be close? Walkertown, they had a game canceled this year. I wonder why they decided not to play some of the canceled games this year. because they would have had pretty big playoff implications if they been played, like Walkertown and Rockingham. That would have been a pretty good game. Seeing anything from the comments, Josh?
I am not, but while we do have a little break in the action, I want to give a shout out to Hickory Volleyball, your 2025 5A state champions.
All right. That's awesome. When's the other classes play?
The rest of them will be played tomorrow, where Watauga will be going for a state championship in volleyball. The School of Science and Math, Morganton, will be competing in the tennis state titles tomorrow.
That's unexpected. I wonder if Matt was watching for their 5A stand, or was it 5A or 6A? Middle Creek. 6A, I think so. It looks like Northern Nash is going to keep their lead over Middle Creek. Yeah, that looks to be pretty sealed right there. So I would say all these results are pretty sealed. I tell you though, Northern Guilford sneaking up on Watauga's number 1 seed right there.
Yeah.
A few OWP results come in, opponents, and they go just right. They could end up swapping. What am I hearing? I don't know. I'm hearing something over here to my side, and I don't know what it is.
Somebody's asking, did Hickory playing tonight and East Lincoln having a bye affect their respective standings in relations to each other?
Hickory and East Lincoln, you said?
Yeah.
I don't think it. Well, yeah, it definitely had an effect overall because East Lincoln didn't play tonight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it started. The RPI kind of corrected itself tonight. It ends up putting East Lincoln down to number 5, the number 5 seed. South Point number 1 now. Wow.
That is a big jump.
Wow, I didn't see that one coming. I really thought J.M. Robinson had that one, had the number 1 seed.
That makes me believe that there has been another sink.
Maybe. Hopefully it was a big one. Sometimes, like I said, little.
Yep, it says 1147.
Yep, there it is. All right. Well, here's the changes in 5A since we last looked. We see South Point went up just a tiny bit, and it was just enough to put them in the number 1 seed over J.M. Robinson. Wow. I really didn't see that one coming. I didn't think South Point could make up enough ground to end up as the number 1 seed in 5A, but they did. That's pretty incredible. They're not just number 1 in the West, number 1 overall. That's pretty incredible right there. I didn't see that one coming.
Well, Ryan, we're going to take one last look at each individual bracket, and we're going to go ahead and sign off for the night, given that we've got everything kind of coming together. And
okay.
We'll let you post these projections tomorrow when we got a little bit more information and data, because there's still a couple games missing. But as of right now, I'd probably assume that most of the brackets aren't going to change much more than where they're at.
All right. Let's see if the 3A, if East Rutherford, let's see if their results are in yet. Yep, they sure are. So let's see what the 3A bracket looks like now, region ranking wise. Looks like East Rutherford has moved up to the 7 seed, passing Lincolnton and Hendersonville. So my projections weren't too far off here. I had it 0.599. If you rounded it up, it was 0.60. That's a huge jump for East Rutherford because having to not having a first round bye to playing at home, it looks like right now it's going to be against Shelby. Go figure, huh?
That is going to be an interesting second round matchup, especially with it being at East.
Assuming things don't change a little bit, which they could still change slightly, but I think Shelby's pretty much locked into their spot. East could jump Walker down. It's close, but I don't think so. I think it's pretty much all the results are pretty much there's enough in now where these are going to be pretty set in stone. So let's look over the 3A bracket here one last final time. Right now, it looks like Hendersonville will play, or the winner of Hendersonville versus East Davidson will play Lincolnton. North Wilkes versus West Lincoln. Winner of that game will play Mount Heritage. Madison West Davidson will play Providence Grove. The winner of Polk County and East Surrey will play North Stanley. That's one we was talking about earlier. It could be an upset alert. So not a whole lot different other than East Rutherford jumping in now that we finally got their results. It is wild, though, that they have the 7 seed, and the reward for it might end up being playing Shelby in the second round. Not a lot's changed on the east side. Actually, I don't think anything's changed on the east side. So we'll keep going on the 4A brackets. I'll circle back around to 1A. If there's no one here, I was going to say, well, if no one here cares about the 1A, we don't have to go over that. But I'm sure there are somebody. Okay, so right now we can see the changes. Looks like High Brighton went down a little bit. I don't know if it was enough to knock them down a seed. Not seeing any huge jumps. No huge jumps. Let's look at the region rankings, make sure everybody's still where they were. Yeah, High Brighton's still 3rd. Central Davidson's still there. Yep. This all looks pretty much about the same. Let me know if you see anything different, because it all looks the same right now to me.
It looks pretty much the same to me.
Yep. I think just about everything's going to be there might be a result here and there that's changed. Hopefully we can see if there's any big changes right in here. Looks like 5A didn't change any. So 5A should still be the same. I think we were looking at them right when we realized that the sync had happened, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've seen South Point now is the number 1 seed in the West over J.M. Robinson. That was surprising to me. But like I said, I think they deserved it. They had a brutal schedule this year. And to make it through that schedule 8-2 is pretty impressive.
All right. 6A.
Yep. 6A real quick. I don't think we've looked at this one. Oh, yep. Apparently we've looked at this one since it changed too. Oh, man.
The gap between Northern Guilford and Watauga just it's getting closer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely would. I would definitely take this one with a grain of salt because it could flop. They could switch for sure. Just one more game come in for like one of their opponents, and they could change everything right here. These two could end up swapping, which I didn't see that coming either. I thought Watauga had the number 1 seed locked in, but it looks like Northern Guilford may end up putting up a fight for it.
Let's take a look at that bracket there for this one. I think looks like a potential collision course between AC Reynolds and Charlotte Catholic in the second round.
Yeah. Yep. It looks like it. Both 6-4 on the season, which
South Caldwell playing at AC Reynolds for that game.
Yep. South Caldwell has fell back down to the 24th seed. Yep. Yes, sir.
St. Stephen's and Mount Tabor locked in there for that first round matchup, then having to play the winner playing Watauga. Keep in mind that St. Stephen's played Watauga, the closest anybody's played Watauga this year tonight.
I know. That's really interesting to see that, because with St. Stephen's playing them so good, maybe the matchup will be really good. Do you know where that game was played tonight? Was it in Watauga or St. Stephen's?
It was at St. Stephen's.
Okay, that makes more sense. But St. Stephen's will get another crack at it. Who knows? Maybe they have something on Watauga. Maybe they know something. Maybe they'll give them a fight. Could be a surprise right there. Looks like Ashbrook will play the winner of Alexander Central and Statesville. Dudley and Ashboro now probably are the winner of Dudley and Glenn versus Ashboro. I think earlier it was going to be TC Robinson. So Ashboro has moved ahead of TC Robinson here. Oh, wow. Kings Mountain and TC Robertson. That would be a game right there. It would be a good game. I'd like to see that one. That could be on your list right there, that game.
Yeah.
That would be a really good game. Oh, you probably won't be down in 2 weeks, will you?
No. Just
next week. Yeah. Oh man, that would be one to see right there. That'd be a good game. I would want to see that game. Let's see. Probably no one in the East that I'm going to know a whole lot about. Southview being 17 seeds, kind of surprising. Got Jacksonville in the number 1 seed still. Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot of surprises other than Northern Nash did jump Middle Creek in the East today. It was really close. Middle Creek and Northern Nash both won tonight. So, but unfortunately, Northern Nash just played the tougher opponent, which made the RPI increase. Is there anyone else we want to go over? Do we want to go through the rest of them? 7A, 8A?
We'll go through 7A, and that'll be the last one since that's going to be the last for coverage area teams.
Yeah.
Essentially, for those of you that are watching, we will we'll post the full projections later tonight or even tomorrow once we get everything finalized. Because, like I said, there are still some games that have not been put in, and that could affect how some teams are seeded.
Yeah, I was planning on putting them in tonight, but I think I'm just going to wait until in the morning. That way we know for sure with more results that are coming in and everything. And plus, if anyone wants to see it, they can rewatch the live stream and hopefully find their team somewhere throughout it. Hopefully we've done a good enough job explaining things tonight and displaying the numbers. Hopefully it wasn't too bad. Hopefully it was easy to follow along. So right now I'm seeing some Page with a pretty big swing here. Looks like they're going to go up somewhere in the rankings. But for the most part, everything about the same. Grimsley went down a little bit, but I think their lead's so big. Yeah, they didn't have anything to worry about there. But Page did jump up. I think you mentioned them earlier. They're now the 14th seed.
Trying to see where McDowell may end up in this bracket.
Versus Page.
That'd be 19 seed. Second round winner will play Independence in the second round. Doesn't get any easier for either team there.
No, definitely not. Definitely
All right.
not.
Well, that is pretty much everything we got for y'all tonight for the playoff projection stream. We're going to have some more stuff posted on this tomorrow morning, like Ryan said, once we get all the official results in. But this is what some of the brackets are shaping up to look like. Make sure for anyone that is watching, if you don't follow the Big Red Sports Network, make sure to give us a follow and tell everybody about this that are interested in seeing what the playoff brackets may end up looking like, because got a lot of predictions coming out tomorrow with with all the results coming in. So we'll make sure everything gets posted tomorrow. Ryan, I appreciate you for being on tonight and doing an amazing job with explaining everything and trying to break down the nooks and crannies of this playoff bracket.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really glad we got to do this. I hope other people enjoyed watching the numbers change, because I know I enjoyed every night. I do have a website project right now. It's pretty rough, and it only has 3A to 7A. So I might post that in the comments for the next post again. But just so you guys can follow along if anything changes before the official numbers come out. But yeah, so I've really enjoyed watching these numbers changes over the week. So like I said, I hope everybody enjoyed it too.
Well, we appreciate you, Ron. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight, and we'll catch y'all in the near future. Thank you and good night.